Hey there, movie buffs and TV junkies. Welcome to the Drive and Chat podcast, the show where we roll out the red carpet for all things film and television. I'm Gabe Whiteman, and today we're diving deep into the terrifying, xenomorph-infested world of alien Romulus. This one's a wild ride, so buckle up because we've got facehuggers, androids, and some serious practical effects to discuss. Imagine this. The screen goes silent, the computer's power on, and BAM! Immediate jump scare. Now that's how you grab attention. Right off the bat, Alien Romulus sets the stage for some really good tension in the Alien franchise in years. But is it perfect? Well, let's find out. Okay, so let's break this movie down. First off, let's start with cinematography. The cinematography is a vibe. From the opening moments, you feel like that alien atmosphere. You really do. Like that same sense of dread and isolation that made the original one so iconic. Like when the camera lingers on the desolate planet's surface, or zooms out to show the vastness of space with those haunting rings of distant planets in the background, you know you're in for something special. The cinematography, I have to praise for whoever came up or whoever did those shots were good. There was a couple of shots. There was one where it showed all of the characters on the actual mining planet, Jackson Star, which I did find out is a part of LV-140. And for those of you that aren't a Alien franchise head, LV-140 is the planet that is basically centered around the Alien franchise. That's basically the whole Alien, basically. That's where I haven't seen the movies in a while, but I think that's where the Alien whole thing came from and everything. So I think that's I'm pretty sure that's why though. But anyways, with the whole planet though, it was actually the cinematography was actually really good. I think so, anyways. I think that it had some really good shots. There was a shot I was explaining earlier where it was showing the Jackson Star planet and it was raining and it had the camera go through some blinds or shutters and then just totally go into it. It was actually really cool. And then there's also a lot of the cinematography shots I gotta admit were good did come from space. All the space shots were really good. Basically the main, I don't want to spoil too much, but basically with the story, they go up to the space station because all of them, so for context, the Jackson Star that they're on, it's a mining planet, and basically they rig it so everybody's just stuck there and mining until they die. And so that's the whole point. And so a lot of people just want to escape, especially our main character, Rain, wants to escape and actually go and find and do stuff. And so, yeah, and also part of the main thing is that apparently there's no sunlight or daylight on Jackson Star, and that's the whole thing. So in Yaga 3 has daylight and actually has a sun night cycle. So they also want to go there for that. But anyways, the main point though is that they want to escape, and so her friends and everything decide to go up to the space station because they're oh hey, there's some cryopods there. It takes 9 years to get to Yaga. And they're you know what? We'll get into the cryopods, everything will work out, and then we'll get to Yaga 3, okay? Or Yaga Prime, whatever it was. And so part of the problem though is that basically the space station is drifting, and so it has 36 hours until it crashes into another planet's rings, because there's another planet nearby and it actually has rings like Saturn. So that was the whole thing. That was the whole part of it. And then when it actually, so spoiler alert, they actually do show the space station crashing into the rings, and those shots are so cool. I love those shots. Those shots are amazing. I love them. Everything just from I don't know, because it shows so much destruction, and I think it also has a film grain on it, I want to say. So honestly, at the end of the day, I think it was really well done. I think the cinematography was well done, especially once it actually got to the actual like alien horror of the movie. The cinematography just like took up a notch. Honestly, like there was another scene where I thought it was a really good shot. I am a I do or I did do some cinematography photo work for a while, for a little bit in the past, and so I know a couple things. So I'm gonna geek out for a second, but there was a scene where they did a rule of thirds shot, where basically, yeah, they did a rule of thirds shot where it had Andy, um, which honestly I'll just spoil it for you, Rain, which is Rain's brother. However, he's not her biological brother, but I won't tell you why. I'll leave that up to you. But basically, there's a shot where he's in the space station along with two of the other friends that are trying to, like, make this happen, go to Yaga and whatever. And there's a shot where he's in this room and he's just like sitting and he's just standing there frozen because actually I can't say why, but he's just frozen. That's all I'll say. Just like he's just standing still. But on either side is like a rule of thirds shots, which is basically you have a subject either in the center line, the very left side, or a very right side. It's a pretty straightforward rule, but it's used in a lot of movies. But basically, yeah, no, it has him in the middle, and then it has face huggers on either side, which I thought was like really cool. I thought that was a really cool shot. And there's like face huggers that were like basically frozen, and because they were in a cryo room, and so they were frozen. Then they raised the temp because they're trying to get cryo fuel for the cryopods, and then they start thawing out, and then they just start dropping into the water and everything. It was actually like a really cool shot. And then I guess since we're all still on cinematography, I thought the alien shots were cool when they did, because they did actually show like close-ups of the alien, which was actually really cool. They showed, especially there was a shot where there was a alien that was like basically like face to face with Rain, our main character, and when an alien is that close to your face, you know what's about to happen. He's about to use his like tongue thing or whatever to basically create a hole in your skull. Um, and so yeah, there was like that shot, and that was like advertised everywhere. It's advertised everywhere, but that shot was like honestly really cool. I can go on and on, but the cinematography was like really, really good at this movie. Next, I want to talk about is the tone in the music. So the tone of this movie is honestly spot on. Like it has like that gritty, desperate vibe of Alien One, but with a modern flair to it. The music, I mean, I can't just say enough about the soundtrack. From like the moment we see that xenomorph egg, like the music like ramps up to the matched like the tension, and it doesn't let go, it doesn't let up until the credits roll. Like that xenomorph egg was like insane. Um, so I can't reveal too much because the egg that I'm talking about was actually in the beginning, so I guess it kind of reveals a little bit. But basically, it was an egg that they hatched. So there's like these engineers and there's these scientists that basically capture an asteroid-looking thing in space, and then they hatch it open with a laser, and then they pull something out of it. But then the camera pans to the egg or the top half of the egg, and it shows the carving or like the shows like the mold of what was inside, and it's obviously that it was a xenomorph alien, which was actually pretty cool. It was pretty tense as well, and so so like the music was definitely there. Um, and there was also another egg that was in the movie that I can't talk about because it kind of reveals a little bit of the story. And then there's an egg at the very, very end of the movie in the third act. So if you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. But there was a egg thing in the third act that reveals a lot of them from the movie. But I'll talk about the third act later. But either way, the music just ramps up. The music, anytime there was a tense moment, anytime there was like basically a moment where like, oh, shit's about to go down, it was so good. I loved it. It matched the tension so well, and it doesn't let up at all. Like it's almost like unnerving in like the best possible way. Like the sound design is just And the sound design is perfect too. There's just something about like the way the machines like hum, or like the quietness before a jump scare that makes like every moment feel like something could go terribly wrong at any second. The jump scares are like good. There was a jump scare immediately in the movie, immediately like, just straight from the start, um, which I love that. I will say the jump scares kind of like calmed down, and they weren't as frequent. Um, like towards like once the movie like kind of carried on, but besides the point, the jump scares and like everything was still top notch. I loved every single minute of it. Now, moving on to acting. Acting honestly wasn't bad, not bad at all. David Johnson as Andrew and David Johnson as Andy brings a kind of cool like detached vibe that works with the character, especially when we learn that he has like a deeper connection to the protagonist. So like that connection, so it ends up being revealed that he's the brother to Rain, but he's not like a true brother of Rain, and I won't tell you why. I'll You have to watch the movie for yourself. But I don't want to spoil too much. But basically, Andy has a connection to is the brother of Rain, but it reveals a big plot twist like straight off the bat about Andy and what and who he is, but I won't tell you what he is or who he is. Alien fans know what I'm probably talking about without getting anything away. Um, People that have seen Alien Romulus so far, they know already what I'm talking about. But basically, it it kind of comes into his character, honestly. Because on there he has like a plot arc which I really love, because they do a twist from a classic alien character type, I guess you can say, and they do it differently in this movie. Um, and so I think it was actually like really good. He basically starts off innocent, and then he becomes a little bit more robotic, and that's all I'll say about it. And he has this nice character arc. I can't give away too much. I don't want to spoil the movie because I think it's a really good movie. So if you want to know what I'm talking about, go watch the movie and you'll find out. But speaking of the main character, the reveal. Oh, you know what? Sorry, that was in my script, and I was gonna talk about the whole Andy thing. Yeah, I can't talk about it. I can't talk about it. I really want to. I really want to, but you know what? Screw it. I'm talking about it. Spoilers ahead. So if you haven't seen Alien Romulus, then go ahead and see it, and then come back to this point. I'm talking about it. I have to. So the thing that I've been beating around the bush of is that it's been revealed that like just straight like 5 minutes into the movie, it's revealed that Andy is an android. So if you have seen any of the Alien movies, androids or like synthetics, whatever you want to call them, are like a big popular thing in the Alien movies because of it takes place in the future. It makes sense, and so like right off the bat, and usually what happens is that when androids are involved or shown in the movie, usually what happens is that the movie, any alien movie is like this. It starts the movie, carries with the characters, whatever, and part way down the movie, it's revealed that one of the characters is an android, and then it's like this huge like thing of like betrayal and everything, and nobody likes it because like nobody likes androids because androids are a part of this company, this Wayland Foundation company. Well, it used to be Wayland. Now it's different as the Alien movies progressed story wise. But anyways, the point is that nobody likes androids just because of how robotic they are, and they actually are for the company, and usually they're up to no good because of the company's intentions. The company's and the whole like idea behind the whole company was they want to investigate alien, they want to do research on it, do labs, do experiments on everything, so then they can quote unquote progress the human race, and so we can be the dominant race, and that's the whole idea behind it. And so that's why usually when android pops up in alien movies, it's never good. But in this case, in Alien Romulus, they right off the bat say that they reveal that Andy is an android, and what ends up happening is, or revealing, is that he's broken. So he was actually made, or he was found by our main character Rain. Her dad found him, and he actually died, unfortunately. I mean, it was like, oh hey, yeah, no, my father's dead, and they just moved on. But anyways, yeah, and so he died. So her dad died, and his like not parting gift, but her thing was to go and get to basically have him for Rain to protect her and everything. And so he's a little bit broken, and she's been meaning to like to fix her and everything. He's been wanting to fix her and everything. And so yeah, no, I thought honestly, I thought it was a good twist on what they did with Andy, because like basically he was never like a true android like he is, but he wasn't working for the company at all, which the company was never brought up. It was brought up maybe once, but never brought up. And so the whole like reveal that Andy's an android like immediately at the beginning was a very nice touch. Like the whole like who's the android game that the Alien franchise is basically known for has been done to death in Alien movies. But it was refreshing to like see the twist played differently, and it was actually like really good because then it had like that arc of Alien being, or not Alien, that Andy was an android, and then due to story purposes, they update his like directive or module, whatever, and so he becomes more robotic, and then he starts following the company's directives, quote unquote, and then he becomes like robotic, and he actually causes a character to die. Won't reveal who, but he causes a character to die, and then later down the line, yeah, just stuff happens, and so I think his character arc was really good. And Andy's family tie to the main character made the dynamic very interesting, rather than just like a pure like betrayal angle, because like that's like all androids basically from in all of the alien movies. That's all the androids thing. It's like, oh hey, I'm a I'm an alien, or I'm an android, and surprise, I was actually never human. I was actually just for the company, and I want to actually secure one of the evil alien facehuggers so we can study it and produce more of them. And that's like, and that's why it's such a betrayal when androids are involved. So I'm kind of glad it was a twist on what they did here. So it has like that. So in Alien Romulus, it was almost like, can you trust your own family type vibe. So I really liked it. I honestly really, really liked it. Now, moving on to the scenes. So with the cool scenes, let's talk about the one where Andy's rebooting. So basically, this was like the shot I was talking about earlier, but now I can talk about it because of, since I told all of you that Andy is an android. But basically, what happens is that Andy and like two other people are trapped in this cryo room, and in this cryo room, they try to get cryo fuel so they can charge up the cryopod so they can actually have enough fuel to help them sleep for 9 years so they can get to the Yaga planet or whatever they're trying to get to. And so because of that, they're in there, and then all of a sudden, the lights go red and they get trapped in the room. And Andy tries to open the door because he's an android, and so he can actually be able to do that, but he does not have like the right access. And so basically, they find another android on the spaceship, take out his module with his clearance and everything, and then they update it and they give it to Andy, and he updates. But because of that, when it was like inserted, then he's like basically frozen and he's rebooting, and so it takes a minute for like it to update and stuff like that. And so that's for context. And also for context, they took out the cryofuel at this point, and so because of that, it wasn't keeping the room cold. And there's a bunch of face huggers that the camera keeps showing, and those are thawing real quick. And so with all that in mind, when Andy is like rebooting and it's shot from like a low angle with like the walls like around him like just covered in face huggers like thawing out, like you feel like the creepy tension as the camera zooms in on the alien creatures just like waiting to attack. Like it's just so unsettling and so unnerving because like you see like the face huggers in like these frozen embryo like icicle things, like icicles almost. They were just like frozen, but then you see like the temperature rising, and then you see them moving and thawing until like they just basically pop out and land in the water because the room is filled with water. And so they just land there, and it's just so unsettling because they're like, you're just like on your edge of your seat trying to like, oh, like get out of there, go, like, oh shit, they're get out of there. There's more like popping in the water, like, oh, get out there. And it's so unnerving how well like this film like just uses practical effects. Like the practical effects were good, and the only reason why I mentioned that is because the face huggers were they were practical. If you see behind the scenes of the movie, they were practical. It was actually like not drones, but they were like animatronics. And so there's some guy in the background or behind the scenes controlling the face huggers and how they move. It was actually like really cool. And it was honestly so well done that you couldn't even tell that it was a animatronic. So the practical effects and how like the face huggers move and just everything about that scene and honestly a lot of the movie was so good. Now let's move on to VFX and effects in general. So honestly, I gotta say the VFX overall are solid. Though there's a bit of a hiccup when we get to a synthetic face. So you know how I mentioned that about like the scene where Andy's rebooting and because they needed clearance to get out of the room and so they found another android and everything. Well, this is the android I'm talking about. So basically, so there's a little bit of context. It was an Easter egg. So basically, they find another android on the space station, and he's like basically cut in half. Like it's only from his torso up. Like he's cut in half because there was a alien there previously that basically killed everyone and killed everything. And so they found him, and he was just lying there. And so they were taking the module out. But anyways, what ends up happening is that spoiler alert, they get out of the room. All of them get out of the room, and then they end up talking to the android that was cut in half because they find out the that the space station is actually going to crash and be destroyed sooner than they thought that it would. And so they plug him in, and then he's revived. So for any of those who've actually seen the Alien movies, it is the same android and same like android model and face and everything from the first Alien movie. So it was the same one. However, I think either one, the actor's dead, or two, they couldn't get him in. And so what they ended up doing was they ended up using VFX to actually make the face and everything. And that was a red flag right there, honestly. That was a red flag. Cause yeah, I get it. Like, yeah, you can't technically bring everybody back, but it would have been nice to actually see him in the flesh. Unless, like I said, he was actually dead. Who knows? Maybe he was actually dead. I don't know. But with me, I don't think he was dead. I just didn't think they brought him back. And so they used CGI to actually get him back. And honestly, it was okay. Like, yeah, it was a cool like Easter egg. It was a cool like homage, but the execution just felt off to me. Like I feel like after every time they look back at him, I think it was because the face just lacked like 3D depth, and that like made the original face like look so real. Like it's a small like nitpick, but it stood out in a film that otherwise like nails the practical effects. So I feel like that was like a little bit of a nitpick thing, but it was still cool to see him again in the movie because like he was a little bit, he was like almost, I would almost say a staple of the Alien movies. So I thought it was pretty cool. But speaking of practical effects, the xenomorph hatching out of Navarro's chest, yeah, that was gnarly. So this isn't really spoiling anything because it was shown in the trailers for this movie. So there's a character named Navarro, which is played by, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm blanking on her name. Navarro is the character that is played by, I can't remember her name. I want to say it's like Aileen Wu, I want to say is her name is. She's the same actress that played a character from The Last of Us Part 2, the game. But anyways, point is, getting back to the main point, is that there was a character named Navarro. She has a shaved head, and so there was a scene where basically she gets attached or attacked by a face hugger, and it's kind of like up in the air if she actually got implanted with an embryo or not. And so then she uses, and you can see this in the trailer. She uses like this X-ray tool device thing that she puts behind her chest, and then it shows light to go see through her chest to see if there's an alien in there or an embryo in there, and it's actually really cool. I love that scene. And but anyways, with the practical effects, the that scene right there with the effects was gnarly. Like it was brutal, it was graphic, and it was real. Like no CGI nonsense there. Like the practical effects are definitely a highlight of this movie because because eventually yes, a face hugger does like come out of her chest. Or not a face hugger, an alien actually comes out of her chest. And it looks so good. Like real. It was gross and real, but it looked so good. Looked so amazing. And honestly, I don't know. Like the face huggers, the chest bursters, like they all look incredible. And honestly, I think this is one of the best depictions of the xenomorphs in the franchise. Like all the practical effects, like even the xenomorphs was actually done practically. It was really good. And then in the third act, there is a alien thing. That's all I'll say because I'm not going to reveal that. You can see it for yourself. But there's an alien thing and the third act of the movie that was also done practically because there is a basketball player that is famous for being very, very tall because he has a condition that makes him very, very tall. And he was actually in the movie and played that alien thing. So, anyways, but the practical effects were just amazing in this movie. And then lastly, I want to talk about the pacing. So, as for pacing, I do have to say the middle section of the movie feels a little slow after we lose like a few characters early on. So, basically, I don't know. This is also kind of a spoiler. If you've ever seen the Alien movies, it's basically well known that everybody dies in like every single one of them. Everybody dies. Seriously. Except for the prequel movies, which is Prometheus and Covenant. Except for those two, like everybody dies. Everybody. Like there's only like one survivor, and it's usually Sigourney Weaver's character, which I can't believe I'm blanking on her name. But it's usually her that survives, but there's usually only one survivor, and that's like the whole gimmick of the whole Alien franchise is that the aliens basically attack and kill everybody except for one person. But anyways, so the movie is like 2 hours long, and within like the first hour is there's already like three characters gone. They're dead. Like I think it takes maybe like 30 to 45 minutes ish of like exposition and story development, and then there's actually like and then after that then there's like maybe 20 minutes of the actual like action and everything. And within those 20 minutes, there's already like three people gone. Like, what the hell? Like, dude, it was insane how many people they cut off at within like the first half of the movie. But by the time we get to the third act, things definitely pick up again with some major twists and like one jaw dropping reveal I wasn't expecting at all, which I will not mention. However, all I'll say is that it is alien related. It is like a xenomorph related thing. So that's all I'll say. But yeah, no, the third act was like a wild moment, and the way it was like revealed, creepy as hell. That thing is wicked looking. Like I guess you can look it up for yourself, but it is wicked looking. Like oh man, and the Alien franchise has done this before in I think it was I think it was actually revealed in I want to say Alien Requiem or Alien 3, Alien 4, something like that. There was a similar type alien thing that they showed that it was just like this from Alien Romulus. So they've done it before, but it is creepy as hell in this movie. But going back to the main idea though, the action does take a bit of a back seat before the third act. And it feels like the tension like wanes for a little while, to be honest. Like it was like it got to the half point of the movie. Basically half the crew's dead. There's only like two, maybe three other people. And then they're like, oh hey, here's basically a bunch of story on you. And they do like a story dump almost. And it takes and then it's like really slow and then it picks up, and then the third act happens, and then stuff actually happens. So it kind of took a second. It did like stop for a while, and it took a second, but it got going. It got going. But yeah, that third act like really redeemed it for me. Like the way it ties back to the original Alien movie with that monologue at the end, genius. Like basically, this isn't really a spoiler, but basically, I wouldn't say it's every Alien movie because I don't think they did it for a couple of them. But in Alien One, which for context, Alien Romulus chronologically takes place right after Alien One. So just putting it out there. But basically, in Alien One, it ends with Sigourney Weaver's character going out in space and being like, "Oh, hey, I'm the only survivor," and doing like a voiceover and like doing like a voice log. And our main character Rain survives, and she does like the same like voice log thing. So I thought that was pretty cool. I thought that was a pretty genius move. Like it brings like everything full circle in a way that I feel like feels satisfying and fitting for like the Alien universe. So like overall, I think it was actually pretty well done, if I had to say. Like overall, there was like some nitpicking things, but overall, the pacing and the VFX were just like amazing, and the practical effects were awesome as well. All right, so let's wrap this up. Alien Romulus is a thrilling, visually stunning entry in the Alien franchise. The practical effects are top notch, and the movie does a great job of balancing tension, mystery, and action. Sure, it does have some few pacing issues, and the VFX of the android's face could have been a little bit better, but the film's atmosphere, creepy moments, and that unforgettable third act makes it an absolute must watch for fans. So, because of that, I'm giving Alien Romulus a solid 9 out of 10. It's not perfect, but damn, it is definitely one of, if not the best Alien movie in the franchise. But if you enjoyed the show, make sure to leave a review, follow us for the latest updates, and join us next week for some cinematic fun. Until then, keep the popcorn popping and the reels rolling.